Hi there YouTubers and 3D Studio Max lovers, welcome to my 3D corner. In today's episode we're going to talk about a very special subject, and that subject is called stainless. So as you can see here I have this 3D model that was modeled by me. As you can see here I have this 3D model, it's called Lavandino. It's a sink made by a famous Italian designer called Antonio Lupi, and as you can see here I've created the materials. I created the stainless steel brushed and also with some smudges and also with anisotropic, so it's quite a complex. There are quite a couple of complex materials in here. So in this episode we're going to discuss about stainless steel materials, how to create realistic stainless steel materials. For the ones that want to use the texture that I'm using in this file, they can go to my Patreon, and as a knight you can download all the textures needed for this material. And if you are paying for the Jedi Master, you can also download the 3D model for this, including the textures of course. So without further ado, let's dive in. So as you can see here I made a couple of different materials. This is the material for the knob, so for this part here in the front cylinder, the part of the cylinder, the front of the cylinder. Then the second one, which is this one, this is the material for the sink. And the last one is this one, which is made of two materials. Which one is vertical, the other one is horizontal. They are exactly the same. And this is for the bottom part, which is this selection. So, and the last thing that we have here is the water, but this is quite a simple material. I'm not going to discuss about this. This was generated with Phoenix FD and collapsed into a mesh, as you can see here. But only for this part I'm gonna create another video where I'm gonna explain some basic stuff in the future for Phoenix FD, also coming from Chaos Group. So okay, for now I'm just gonna close this. I'm gonna just move to perspective. I'm gonna create a new tab in here, a new view, and I'm gonna just grab a Corona physical material, which is coming as default as non-metal. I'm gonna make it a metal. As you can see, I'm gonna go here on the bottom and I'm gonna move from roughness to glossiness. I prefer glossiness, it's much easier for me to do that. Another thing that I would like to discuss about is, as you can see here, after you install the new Windows on your computer, you have a comma in here, and this can be sometimes quite disturbing because I'm using my numpads on the right side of my keyboard. So most of the time if I want to write 0,8, I'm just doing 0.8 on the numpad and I push enter and I should have that, or 0.6 and I should have that. But in this case it's not working because the Windows has a different setup. So how can you change that? You can I'm just gonna close this scene and I'm gonna go in my Windows, change date and time, and here in date and time you go to date and time original settings, additional time, date and time and original settings, and then change date, time and number formats. I'm gonna click on this. I'm just gonna go here, as you can see, at the region, and then here you go to additional settings, and here you can change that comma. So here, as you can see, the decimal symbol is using a comma. I can move this to a point. I can apply OK, apply OK. I'm just gonna close all of this, and now when I'm opening my 3D Studio Max and I open my last scene, you can just go here, and as you can see I'm having a dot. So for example, if I'm opening the material editor, the slate material, I'm going here and I have 0.6, 0.4, 0.2, so I don't need to use the comma to get that. Now if you're using the comma, it's not working anymore. So this is how it's actually working. Okay, then I'm gonna move back to my material slot. So the first thing that we're going to do for this material, I'm just gonna leave this at 1 for now, and I'm gonna create a fall off with a black and white. This fall off, I'm gonna create a curve here, and I'm gonna add my first bitmap, and I'm gonna use the brushed steel diffuse. I'm gonna use a real world map for this, and I'm gonna use here 1000 by 1000. Then with these two, what I'm going to do, I'm gonna merge them together by using a Corona mix. So I'm just gonna go here, take the Corona mix, add on the top my fall off image, and on the bottom my brushed material, and I'm gonna put all of this into basic base glossiness. Well, this is what you're gonna get in the beginning, but if you go here and you use an overlay, this is what you're gonna get. And another thing that we need to add in here is the anisotropic. So I'm gonna add here one, and in the moment that I'm adding here anisotropic 1, I'm gonna get this material. Then also, because this is my first material, I'm gonna select my object and apply this material to my object. I also would like to see this texture, how big it is. Well, it's quite big, I will say. Maybe I can make it a little bit smaller. Let's see, 100 by 100. This is a little bit way too small, so let's make it 200 by 200. I think, yeah, this could work quite well, maybe a little bit bigger. Yeah, this looks fine. So now if I start my render in here, I can see my material, which is looking quite well already. So yeah, I don't know if you can see, but if I go really close, if I wait for a bit, you're going to see the texture. We're going to see the texture of the stainless steel brushed. So for most of you, this is already looking quite well, and yeah, this looks perfect. But if you want to create realistic materials, you always need to add a couple of more layers on top of this. So what I'm going to do next is I'm going to create another material in here, so in this way, and I'm gonna merge my first one with the second one, creating different layers that are going to create the realism that we need for this material. So what I'm going to do, I'm just gonna go and maybe it's a little bit too dark. If you want to make it much brighter, the material, you can just go here and change the color of the metal. Having a very white, it's gonna be very reflective. Having a very dark one is gonna be less reflective. So I'm just gonna go with a little bit lighter gray. And now I'm just gonna create on this material. I will also would like to add a bump. So to add some extra details in here so I can see the brushed material. So I'm just gonna add this to the bump for now. And yeah, to this bump, I'm just gonna use like 0.2 or yeah, something similar to that. But I'm gonna check all of this a little bit later. Okay, so now we have our first layer. So let's create the second one. But before that, before creating the second layer, what I'm going to do, I'm going to create from here a Corona layered material, which is this one. And I'm gonna use here my first material to the base material, so here, and I'm gonna use add all layers. So in this way, I'm gonna just add here layer 1, layer 2, layer 3, layer 4 on top of my first layer. Yeah, let's add the second one. I just minimize this one from here, also physical material. Okay, and on this one we're gonna make it metal, of course. As you can see, it's already getting there. I'm gonna just change the roughness to glossiness, and yeah, I'm just going to change the glossiness to 1 for now. So what I'm going to do, I'm gonna bring the next texture that I need to create this material. So I'm gonna go to Corona bitmap. Here I'm gonna use the brushed steel diffuse 2. I'm gonna open this. I'm gonna add this to my glossiness, and in the moment that I did that, you can already see that my material is changing. So to change that, to change this material to make it more metallic, what I'm going to do, I'm going to use from general a color correction. and I'm gonna add a little bit of brightness so I can see better my metal. And I'm also going to add this in the base map. So I'm just gonna drag this here, and here I'm gonna add Corona bump converter, and I'm gonna plug in my color, and in that moment I'm getting a little bit of bump on this material. Okay, this is looking good. I'm gonna add this in here, and in the moment that I did that, my material is already changing. Another thing that I need to see is how big is this map. So I'm just gonna put it on show material. I'm gonna use here on use a real world scale as usual, and for this I'm just gonna make it, I'm gonna try 600 by 600, but I can't see anything. But this is the fact, this is because I didn't apply my new Corona layered material to my object. So I'm just gonna apply it now, and now we can see the object. Maybe some of you are gonna think, why am I putting here such a big texture, 600 by 600? Well, this is coming from the fact that in the moment that I created this 3D model, it's actually not on the right scale. So this is why right now I need to use a different scale for this object. So as you can see, this is my material, which is looking very nice, but I'm not really happy with all of this. So I would like to have my second material only in some places. So what I'm going to do is I'm gonna create a mask from my original texture. So from this one, and I'm just gonna move it here. And this mask is gonna go on the layer 1, mask 1. So I'm just gonna add this in here. So in the moment that I did that, as you can see, my material is changing, and I can add a little bit of RGB offset down. In this way I'm getting more reflection, creating more contrast. I'm gonna push up a little bit the RGB, so I'm gonna get a little bit more reflection, maybe a little bit too much. Yeah, actually I think I'm quite happy with this right now, and it's it's looking quite well. So okay, right now we have the original material and our first layer. What I would like also to add in here is to add a little bit of anisotropy. So I'm just gonna add here, and now we are getting there. Okay, now what I'm going to do next, I'm gonna create another material on top of these two, and for that I'm just gonna add another Corona physical material. To this material I'm gonna add texture, Corona bitmap. I'm gonna use this one. To this texture I'm just gonna add this in the base roughness. I would like to see this, but to see it I need to add all of this to Corona layered material on the slot number 2, and now I can show it. I'm gonna use also real world scale, and I'm gonna make this 600 by 600. I just want to see some details in here. Maybe this is too big. Yeah, I think this could work much better. To fix this 300 by 300 centimeters, I'm just gonna go here to customize unit setup. I already made a tutorial about the system unit setup and how they are working in 3D Studio Max. I'm gonna leave a link on the bottom right side so you can go there in case you don't remember how to do it and what's happening. So I'm just gonna go to system unit setup. I'm just gonna move here to millimeters, and here I'm gonna also move to millimeters. Now I'm gonna have the real world scale. So this is actually a texture by 300 by 300 millimeters, which is 30 by 30 centimeters. So as you can see here, it's looking like that. I'm gonna go back to my Corona physical material. I'm gonna make it also a metal. To this metal, I'm gonna make this metal also to use. I will just leave it with roughness, because in this case I just want to have a little bit more of reflection. And yeah, I would like to see this. Let's see how it's looking until now. Okay, this is what we have. This is a little bit too much reflection, and I can't really see my details. But to do that, what we're going to do, well, first of all, I would like to make this material less reflective. What I did, I'm just added in here less amount of this texture, so I'm just gonna use 70 for example, and in here I have a 0.75. so what he's doing is creating a middle between 0.75 roughness. This texture is actually creating a mirror because it's totally black, and in roughness, as I said also in other videos, black is totally reflective and white is non-reflective. So this is what we are getting, but I don't want to have this everywhere. I just want to have it where I have only the white part of this texture. I would like to have it into my reflectivity. So what I'm going to do next, I'm gonna add this texture as a mask in here, and I'm gonna invert this. So first of all, I'm going to do, I'm gonna add this directly here. So I'm gonna delete this one, and I'm gonna use an output from general. Just gonna here, I'm gonna take the output, I'm gonna add the output in here, and I'm gonna use an invert for this. So what's gonna happen now, everything that is black is gonna become white, and everything that is white is gonna become black. Yeah, I'm not very happy with this. If I'm changing it, I think this is what I need actually. So to check your materials all the time, it's very easy. You just go in here and you close the other layers and you leave only the one that you need. And in this way you can see your latest material that you made. Okay, I'm gonna just move forward with this third one. So I'm gonna go back to my Corona materials. I'm gonna take from here another physical material, and to this one I'm gonna add my latest texture. So I'm gonna go here, I'm gonna create a Corona bitmap, gonna use the smudge brush, and this is gonna go to roughness, and this is gonna be a metal. As you can see, it's not showing that much on it. What I need to do, I'm going to the advanced and doing this glossiness, and now I can see my bitmap and all the smudge lines on my metal. Now I'm going to add this to the layer number 3. As you can see, you can already see it here, but the texture is very small. So what I'm going to do, I'm gonna make this texture also bigger, and I'm gonna do it 600 by 600 for now. It's already there, so maybe I can make it a little bit bigger. Okay, this is looking good. And I'm also going to add this as a mask because I don't want to see everything. I just want to see these smudges, so I would like to keep the materials that I already created in the back. And I'm also gonna add an output to this so I can control the material much better. Because what's actually happening in here is if you add layers on top of it, then only the last one is gonna show up if you don't have a mask. So if I'm adding on the layer 3 now a material, which is this one, without the mask, it's just gonna show this material. See, these two are exactly the same. The moment that I'm adding the mask, he's using only the mask part, which is the white parts in this case, for this material. What else you can also do here, you can blend all the layers. When the moment that you blend all the layers, the mask, it doesn't really matter that much. If this is too reflective, let's see, it's already looking quite nice, I would say. I'm quite happy with the result. The only two things that we still need to do is the bottom part, which is very simple, and the knobs, which is a little bit more complicated because Corona doesn't know how to make these anisotropic lines by default. So yeah, in other programs I saw that this can happen by default by just using some anisotropic, but in Corona you need to create a texture that is going to act like this here. So okay, for now we have this. I'm just gonna go to create the next ones. So what I'm going to do is we just need to create another Corona physical material. So I'm just gonna go here, I'm just gonna drag this in here, and I'm gonna apply this material onto my pipe, as you can see. And now I'm gonna go back to this material, to the base, because it's a brushed material. I need to add the brush. So I need to add the brush. So what I'm going to do, because we already created this here, this material, I'm just gonna add this into my base roughness. I'm gonna make this a metal, and I'm gonna make this a glossiness metal. Okay, this is looking quite good. And what else I need to do is to add this also into my bump. So I'm gonna go here and add this to my bump, the base bump. And now I need to add some anisotropic, which is going to be in here, anisotropic. And I'm just gonna use 0.5, and I would like to make this a little bit more reflective, maybe like this. Okay, let's see how it is looking. Okay, we can already see some nice reflection in here. They are not very powerful for now. Can add some more. As you can see, by just changing the color of the material, you also change the reflection of the metal. So for now, yeah, we're just gonna stay around here. Maybe we can make this a little bit more reflective by adding more white. As you can see, okay, this is looking quite good. The problem is that, as you can see here I have these stripes, these white lines, and the metal is really looking very nice. But on the L shape here, we don't have that. Well, why is this happening? Well, this is also quite normal in Corona, but to add also these lines on this area here, we need to create another material and these vertical lines to make them horizontal. So what I did here when I created this, I just added another editable poly, and this part here that I'm selecting right now, I made this with the material ID number 1, and the other part I used the material ID number 2. So in this way I can have two materials in the same time on the same objects. So two different materials on the same object. So what I'm going to do, I'm gonna make another material here, and on this one I'm just gonna make a rotation of 90 degrees, as you can see. So this is going to be material ID number 2, and this is going to be material ID number 1. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to create a multi-sub object material, and here I'm going to add the first one in the slot number 1 and the second one in the slot number 2, and I'm going to apply this material to my pipe. And as you can see, in the moment that I did that, my pipe has these beautiful vertical lines on the vertical part, and on the horizontal one has these horizontal reflections. So now it's looking more realistic. So yeah, this is what you need to understand, that in Corona, yeah, you need to create this kind of material so the program will understand how the textures are going. So what we need to do now is the last part, which is the front part of the knob. As you can see, the front part is material ID number 2 and the rest is material ID number 1. Okay, I'm gonna leave this as it is, and let's see how we can do that. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to take another Corona physical material, and yeah, I'm just gonna use it as a metal. I'm just gonna go here with on the advanced and use glossiness as a roughness mode. And then what I'm going to do, I'm gonna pick up a gradient ramp, and this is the gradient ramp textures. As you can see here, I'm gonna use this, I'm gonna make this texture using a gradient type called spiral, which is this one. And this spiral, I'm gonna merge it together with a Corona multimap with a white Corona color. So I'm gonna go here, I'm gonna pick up a Corona multimap, and to this I'm just gonna make less because I don't need that many layers. I'm gonna add this on the first one, and on my first slot I'm gonna add the Corona color and make it white, and I'm gonna get this, and this is going into the base glossiness. What I'm going to do next, I'm going to use anisotropy, but this time I'm not gonna go up with anisotropy, I'm just gonna go with negative with -0.5, and this needs to go here into the rotation. I'm gonna delete this base glossiness because this is not what we need, and create the base glossiness for this material, which is here. I'm gonna add the same material that we use on the base color here, and I'm just gonna add it in here. And of course I need to create also a multi-sub object in here. This is gonna go on the second one, and this is gonna go on the first one. I'm just gonna apply this to both of my materials. Let's see what we have here. This is already looking good. The only problem is that this is not very visible, but we can change that. by making this gradient a little bit darker. So what I'm going to do, I'm gonna add a color correct, for example, if I want to, and I'm gonna just go with this a little bit lower. So you can go with the brightness, or let's go like this, 0.1. Okay, so this is our material. If I want to make this a little bit darker, I'm gonna get a little bit more textures into it. And also, as you can see, I'm seeing a lot of lines in here. So yeah, if you zoom in, you can see all those, all these lines. But to have less of them, you can go. So yeah, this was the lesson for today. As you can see, I hope all of this was helpful for you and you managed to understand how to create anisotropic materials into Corona Render. For the ones that are using V-Ray, the method can be applied to any type of 3D rendering program. They are all most of the time working similar. And yeah, don't forget, if you want to download this 3D model exactly as you can see it here, you can just use my Patreon. I'm gonna leave a link in the description. For the ones that they need only the texture, they can also use my Patreon to download those. And if you did find this useful, please don't forget to subscribe in case you didn't do it already. Share it with your friends and see you in the next one. Bye!